Hey there, welcome back to Two Newbies as we explore A Course in Miracles. You're here with Chantal and Jenny, and we met only a week ago. And so we are just, we've got 1 week of lessons that we're going to chat about. And so it's lessons 213 to today's lesson, which is 219. And so we might get into some other topics as well, which would be interesting and fun. So welcome back and enjoy. Hey,
So
Chantal, how's it going?
yeah, no, it's been good. Like, just so everyone knows where we're at too. All of the lessons start
Mhm.
with the same phrase or title, like title. I never know what to call the first bold bit. Title?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We're
Um,
theme.
yeah, theme,
Okay.
perfect. So the theme is and it was all of the lessons for the last week. So
Yeah.
I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. And then there are slightly different words that come with each lesson. Just a little bit, but yeah. So we've got to explore that in like slightly different ways this week and quite in depth.
Yes. And like, I don't even know how many lessons we've done in this review, but there's several. I think there might be 20
Yeah.
with that same main theme. And then just the lesson within the theme changing,
Yeah.
which are reviews. But it's interesting that with that different lens, it feels like a new lesson to me. They haven't felt reviewy. And maybe that's why I'm enjoying the reviews because they
I
haven't
really enjoyed
felt
this
reviewy.
review too.
Totally. And I mean, I said that last week too, and I'm still enjoying it. I'm actually a little sad. We only have one lesson left under this review, just one. So tomorrow's, and then that's it. And I'm just like, interesting. This has just been a really fantastic experience, this set of review.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, really good.
I also think like from a young age, we're so attached to our body. And this is
Yeah.
really about almost like like I feel like look at your soul self, and
Yeah.
like you're living in this beautiful vessel and like let's treat it well and know that this vessel's communicating with you.
Yeah.
So for example, like I've had such bad cystic acne this past week. I haven't had that in a long time. That's definitely saying stuff to me. 100%.
Yeah.
My skin has been so reactive. Every time I wash my face, it gets really red. I put cream on it and it almost feels like I'm allergic to the cream. This
Mm.
always happens like for a couple weeks in the fall and a couple weeks in the spring for me. It tends to do with allergies, but I've also been really reactive lately. So like I'm seeing my body speak about things that have been going on. Um, so that's been really interesting to witness, to hold witness to that as I'm reading this. I've also noticed when I talk a lot lately, I get frogs in my throat, I get hiccups. I keep on touching my throat a lot when I talk. Um, and I've been noticing this a lot. And I'm like, okay, even though I may be speaking my truth, there are parts of me that don't necessarily believe it.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so it's like there are bits like that where like I feel like this resonates and and there's a huge part of me that believes it, but there is a part of me that's like, do I deserve that?
Right.
Yeah.
Deserving is an interesting thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Because we
What
can
about you? How's things? What's come up for you?
good. Interesting stuff. There's a few. I took a couple of notes. I took lots of notes this week each day. I really noticed that. And some of it is those little key things that Marianne Williamson says that just really resonates.
Yeah.
And then me just journaling as well. Um, Lesson 213, and it was all things are lessons God would have me learn. And I just thought, oh man,
Thanks God.
like a little hard to swallow, isn't it? I choke. And it is that's we are here to explore and to learn. And these experiences that we have and the people that we've made soul contracts with, and then they come and we have that experience and we're pissed right off at them or we adore them or whatever the situation is. They're all things and lessons that God would have us learn, that the divine would have us learn. And I loved that lesson a lot. And they're talking more in there about being in the holy instant. And I think a lot of these lessons too are getting us back to that present moment, being present.
Yeah.
And in A Course in Miracles, they call it the holy instant, right? I loved 2:14, which I place the future in the hands of God, and talking about the past is over and it cannot touch me unless we keep like looking back and like re-traumatizing ourselves or living in the past over and over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
Makes me think of a conversation I actually had with somebody this week, and they were talking about their job and how their job, it's just become mundane for them. And so while they're doing it, they're actually ruminating on other things.
Ooh.
And I said to them, yeah. And I said to them, and you know darn well, if you're ruminating on other things, you're actually not present, because presently you're doing that job. But if you're not thinking of that job, you're not present. So you're thinking about the past, right? Which is not present, and your anxiety about the future and regrets about the past is where we end up going instead of being present. And this person has shared about this before, about their work, and they're chatting more again about, it is time for me to change my job. Like, it is time. And they've been talking about this for a really long time, but they've never talked about it in this way, about that they're not even present in the moment anymore. But their words that they had said was like pointless thinking, just like that round and round and round and round thinking and not being present. So it's interesting how when we're in the midst of these lessons and we see other people also doing them as well, even if they're not following A Course in Miracles, they are still sort of doing A Course in Miracles. They're just doing it without a book, and because they're on their journey as well, which is really, really neat and interesting to watch.
Oh, absolutely. I found with number 14 as well.
Yeah.
It really like called me out this week. Where because okay, so with my stationery company Socolo, I don't even know how to fully talk about this. I definitely want to like talk about it on my social media, but I've been trying to like find the words for it. But everything about the expo felt divinely guided, like everything. And the event was really good and really successful. But what it did was like it kind of enlightened me on why the business may not be working, and like some areas that I've overlooked or whatever. And in a weird way, it kind of showed me maybe why it won't be successful or like why it won't be sustainable in the long term. And and there's a bit of sadness with that or whatever. And so in a weird way, I had this like emotional roller coaster all month about it, kind of like grieved and like let it go. But in that freedom of letting it go, I got this like flurry of ideas and creativity. And I let go of like fear of if I'd get canceled, or fear of offending someone, or fear of whatever, like just judgments and da 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 da. Like there was a lot that I just like let go. And so now I'm able to have a lot more fun with it. And I got a flurry of different ideas of like to think outside of the box of what the business can be, and how to go about doing it, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But with this, I did find myself, I'm like, oh, like, so I got to this really creative point, and then it's transferred into me going back to thinking about the future of the company.
Oh, interesting.
Lesson 214, you are a meanie. Literally, like when I read that, I was just like, F you, Course in Miracles. But also, like, I can laugh about it, right? Because it's like, okay, yeah, I'm back to thinking about the future of it. And when I think about the future of something is when I start getting really precious about something and like, rah, rah, rah. So, yeah, that one was a laugh out loud moment for me. But it was a good, like, just stay present with it. If you have an
Yeah.
idea, do it now. Don't think about, well, this
Yes.
what is this going to be like 6 months from now? Like, I need to stop
Yes.
thinking about that. Just do what feels right now.
And I love the term inspired action around this
Yes.
because A Course in Miracles is, and Marianne Williamson is not saying just sit on the couch, lay back, and let the divine, let God take care of your whole future for you. That's not what the lesson is trying to say at all. That if there are plans to be made, you will know about it and you'll feel it, is
Yeah.
how Marianne Williamson worded it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so to be able to do that, one, we need to be connected, and two, we need to be listening. And so I think that's fantastic that, so maybe it's not that it's that Sokolo isn't like over. Maybe it's just that pivot,
And to be
right?
honest, it's like sort of like the second life of it. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not what it was anymore. It's
Yeah.
something new now. And
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun in the messiness of it all, and the, again, like, not worrying about, like, am I, like, for example, I used to never sell my artwork on, like, or like my artwork I never really sold with Socolo.
Yep.
I'm doing markets this weekend, and I was like, actually, like, why aren't I bringing my paintings along anyways? Like, I should just bring like a handful of them to the market. Like, why
Yeah.
not? And before, I used to have the fear of, oh, well, like, I don't want to confuse people on what it is that I'm doing, or, like, muddy the waters or whatever it is. Like, oh, I need to be very clear for people. No, like, whatever. Like,
Yeah. People can clear that up themselves,
themselves. Yeah.
right?
I can be both
They
artist and stationer at the same booth, at the same table, at the same time.
totally fine. Do you know a friend of mine? She goes to the market here once a week, and she sells, and it's the woman that I buy most of my fabric for all my quilt programs. And do you know what she also sells at the same time? Microgreens.
Oh, lovely.
It's something that her family does as a small business. They grow microgreens. Why not?
Yeah.
And she sells both when she's there.
Yeah. Like, you have to pay for the table anyways. Why
Yeah,
pay twice for it? Like,
that's
and
right.
why waste your time? Like, no, we can do it at the same time.
And you know what? I think what comes to mind, Chantal, is then that's you actually showing up as you.
Yes. Yes.
And
Not,
it's
here's a
your
piece of me.
business.
Yeah.
You're not working for somebody else, and they're saying you need to, go and sell stationery at the market. And you're like, and on the side, I'm going to sell some of my own art. No, it's all you.
Yeah. I'm
So why
selling you.
not bring them together? Yeah, right? Show up as your whole self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. That's
yeah.
exciting.
And, like, genuinely, like, when I read this as well, there was a part of me, because, I'm always like, oh, I'm waiting for the moment to, like, live the life I want. Like, this is something that I've always struggled with.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
and, to have, like, work-life balance and blah, blah, blah. I say it with an attitude because I'm frustrated with myself and I can't seem to achieve it. Yet. I will. Uh, and where was I going with this? Oh, right. So when I was reading this and thinking about, how I'm living too much in the future and da da da, and not showing up fully as myself, part of me was like, why does it scare the shit out of me to show up as just a full-fledged artist? Like, I always think that, like, for some reason I can't just be just an artist, right? Like, I always have to be like, okay, like, I can do the art that I want to make, but then it has to go on, like, this stationery and da 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 da. Like, no one's just gonna buy a painting from me,
Right.
right? Like, I have to, like, I can paint, but then that painting has to be used for, like, other things because no one's gonna buy the painting. Right? Like, there's something about it that scares the shit out of me. And so, again, part of it was like, oh, like, face, like, and in a weird way, about thinking about the future and, like, why, like, the parts of my life that I want so badly but scare me so much. in a weird way, I was able to observe it and kind of laugh at myself. And I'm just like, just sell your art at the market. Like you're officially an artist.
Yes, I love it.
And so all
And
of this kind of got like, I love the onion skins and like, I kind of look at my life as spaghetti sometimes and like trying to like pick up the strings
yeah,
or like each noodle. And like, yeah, this is my dish of spaghetti right now.
this is your dish of spaghetti right now. I love it. And I love that you are like, isn't it great to feel the fear
Oh
and
yeah,
recognize what it's from?
totally.
And then go, oh, okay, okay. So the other part that from that lesson is the ego wants us to live in the past and in the future, right?
Yeah.
And something that comes in lesson 215 is the ego speaks first and loudest,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah. F you,
And
ego.
F you, ego. I'm going to the farmer's market with my art and my stationery.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up as my full, authentic self. You don't have to hide parts away.
100%.
And isn't that how we want to show up in the world?
Well, okay. And so like this is where there's like I'm starting to really enjoy. I mean, it's taken me a while to get here. And so many people have told me to do this, but the ways that people told me to do it never really felt authentic to me, even though I'm probably doing what people told me to do. I just wasn't ready for it yet. So I'm doing a full moon meditation in London at this beauty store that like okay, so a long time ago I was trying to start a beauty business. And this beauty store I always wanted to be a part of. So a long time ago, they asked, well, not a long time ago, like back in August, they were asking me to go and do Socolo stuff there. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I can finally be a part of the store in a way that's not part of like the beauty industry. And so through doing that, I was talking to her about my meditation business or like meditation intuitive coaching business. And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, I would love for you to come and do a workshop here. And I was like, great, let's do it. So we talked with dates, blah, blah. So now I'm doing a full moon meditation in September. And through it, she was like, oh, like, like this is kind of like the prices that tend to go for that type of event at our shop. Does that suit you, blah, blah. And and she's like, you can charge more if like, if we include this with it, blah, blah, blah. Anyways. And so through this conversation of me having to decide like what am I doing? I'm like, well, like it would be great to have tools there so people can like sit and reflect, in whatever way they want to. And I was like, I have a bloody stationery company and a notebook that has the moon cycle on it. I'm just gonna make this part of the thing and just give everyone one of these notebooks. I
Yep.
have pencils now. I'm gonna give them a pencil and make this part of it. Like, to be honest, I'm not making any money by doing this meditation at
Yeah.
all, by adding these extra things to it or whatever, right? Because I wanted to make it like also accessible. It's my first one at this in this
Yep.
location. And the current area that I tend to do workshops in, it's just a lower price point. This area is like a little bit more posh. And
Yeah.
so like I like with her, I was like, I have no clue what to charge her people. Like I need your advice.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, like anyways, it's just where am I going with this? I don't know. But yeah, there's so much overlapping now, and
Yes.
it's feeling really good.
And doesn't it just feel then like your business is becoming what it's divinely,
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word supposed to, but what it's divinely evolving into?
Yes, this is like that deliberate
And that you're
attention.
letting go and allowing it to happen.
Yeah. I've like told the divine, like, this is what I want. And they've led me on my GPS journey to this point.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I didn't know what this was going to look like. And
Yeah.
they were like, this is an
This is what
option.
it's, yes, I
Yeah.
love it. And how awesome to pair with somebody who is able to lead you where in the spots where you weren't sure, like around the how much to charge and those sorts of things, because it's a different area for you and those sort, that's so
Yeah.
great to allow that person to come in, provide that service for you, not think you're, that you know everything about your business, because you don't, because it's evolving.
Yeah.
And I love the addition of your stationery and your pencil in that. I'm such a firm believer in like impeccable service and then under promise and over deliver.
100%.
It's right in my business plan.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's those little things, these little things that people really appreciate. Like, I didn't know we were going to get a journal.
Yeah.
How great. A journal and a pencil. I'm so pleased because I didn't bring one. And I got some great things from this meditation, and I want to be able to capture this before I walk out the door again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So great. I love this. I'm so excited for you because we chatted about Socolo, what, like a month and a half ago, when you were like, do you know what? I just think that it might almost be done. That part of it, it's kind of like getting like the death card when you're doing tarot or something. It doesn't necessarily mean the death of a person, just the end of a phase or the end, it's just a pivot point is coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you found your pivot point.
It's a massive shift. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And like even the way like I'm viewing on how to run the business, like every part of it is drastically shifting. And there's no fear with it because it's sort of like, yeah.
It's happening organically.
And as it should. Like it's just,
Yes.
yeah, I've gotten, and I think like social media is terrible. Like it is a terrible place. And a lot of this fear of judgments and a lot of like thinking of, oh, like how I should do things or blah blah blah, or will people take my business seriously if I do that, blah blah, had to do a lot with like the fear of how to show up on Instagram and how other people are showing up and this and that.
Mm.
And there's been a lot like within the community that my stationery company is kind of involved in. There's been a lot of mean girling happening. I literally cannot even get the guys involved on this. It is literally women being mean to other women within the community. And in a weird way, because I was able to be like, this part of it grosses me out. And
Yeah.
like like I hate this. This is not what it's about. That event where I finally was like, why am I trying to fit in with the mean girls? Right? Like,
Awesome.
right. And I was able to see it as like this is straight up online bullying, what's going on here. I don't need to fit in with you guys.
No.
Like, and so, and then it gave me freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. Like, it's just, yeah, it's been a powerful week.
So awesome. How
I totally
inspiring.
thought we were going to have like nothing to talk about.
I know, because it's only been a week, right? But there's lots. Now this lesson and like your example, Chantal, can apply to anybody doing anything where they're just feel like something is coming to an end, right? Or that they're just about at that pivot point or that change or that sea change that, and yeah, it can be scary. However, when we just sort of relax into it and listen to those inspired actions, listen to the messages that are coming, listen to ourselves, the fear falls away.
Yeah.
And we have so much flippin' fun.
Yeah.
Right?
And like, genuinely, this is the easier path.
It's
Like, why I
the
haven't
path
done
of
this
least
sooner
resistance.
boggles me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So just to throw in what happened with my business.
Yeah.
So I thought I was going to be doing coaching, right? And yes, I coach, but in a way that I thought I was going to be doing as a side business. And it was just relaxing into it, like you're doing, and allowing it to happen organically. And because of that, it has been a roller coaster ride that has been so much fun. And is there fear involved? Heck yes, there is. But it's that fear of, oh my gosh, this is happening.
Yeah.
Right? And allowing it. Allow it, allow it, allow it.
And what I love about your business too is that it is 100% you,
Yeah.
right? It's the
Yeah.
quilting, it's the coaching, it's the being part of the community. It's all of those together.
Together.
It's
Yeah.
not, and I think like for me, my brain really likes to section things in weird ways. Like, but like things get sectioned. Like there's
Right.
one side of me, that side of me, the side, like, like things
Yeah.
don't cross over. And there's something that's like finally things are allowed to go,
Right.
yeah.
And then, like I said before, then we're showing up as our authentic, true self in all aspects of our life.
And this is why your business takes off. Like your business, like Jenny's business is like unbelievable. Sorry, am
It's
I allowed to brag for you?
it's going really well. And I'm having the time of my life with it.
And the people love you. Like the people who work with you just sound like everyone. No, I'm not going to generalize and say everyone, but people are really relating, and the quilting is allowing exploration, and the exploration is like affecting the quilting and the back and forth and the it's just anyways, any of the stories you have told me, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And I just feel honored to get to witness it,
Yeah.
to witness what I get to. Just it gets me all verklempt and I almost want to cry because it's incredible what I get to witness. Yeah, I feel really honored.
Yeah.
So this sort of leads us to before we got started recording, we were chatting a little bit, right? And we got onto the conversation of pedestals again. And it's come up a few times. And it's so interesting. So I had shared with you that somebody had called me the Grand Pumbaa. I think that was the word that they used, anyways. And I might be saying it wrong. And I was like, oh, no, no, no. No, 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 no. I'm just me. I'm just me, just showing up as me. And so then we had how the conversation got started was you brought up the topic of cults,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So when I was younger, I had a weird little cult experience, and which now has it was only 10 days. Like I can't say that I've full on lived in a cult, but like it was 10 days of scary craziness. And since then, I've been very like I love reading about cults. I love learning about it because to me it's and part of this is a trauma response is to know what to do if I enter that situation or how to see if I'm entering that situation or not. Because basically what happened, do we have time to talk about this? Just out of
Yeah, I
curiosity.
think so. I think
Yeah,
we
okay.
totally do.
Um, so basically what happened to me was I signed up for some yoga teacher training to take place in British Columbia. And it was with this yoga studio that was based in Vancouver. And as part of it, you had to go away to a garlic farm. That's what they built it as. A garlic farm to go and do yoga and just be like fully enveloped in the teachings and whatever. And so they kind of treat it as like a 10-day retreat. And basically we get there, there's an electric fence all around the property. Yeah, and
Oh,
my mom, again, like this is like it's so interesting how there's warning signs before something comes up. Right? Like the day or two before I left, my mom was like, "Oh, I was reading this article in the newspaper about how there's so many yoga cults now." And like people go thinking that they're going to do yoga teacher training and it ends up being a cult. And so she's like, "Just be really careful." I was like, "Mom, I'm sure it's fine. Like this is a really respected yoga studio here. Like it'll be fine." Little did I know. So, the setup of this place was very bizarre. So we had to sleep in tents at the bottom of the hill. When we got to the property, we found out that it was actually an ashram. And the guru who lived there, we didn't like, no one told us that there was going to be a guru there. The guru who lived there lived on top of the hill in this like beautiful white house, and we always had to stay below it. None of us were allowed to enter the house or go up to the house. We weren't even really allowed to go up the hill. We could like walk around it, but we weren't really allowed to get to the house. Um, only one of us was allowed to go there because she had a concussion. And so she was allowed to go and help make the food because she had trouble with like the heat and the light. And so she was the only person who had permission to go to the house. We weren't allowed to speak to anyone who worked there, and who worked on the garlic farm, but who also like lived at the ashram. We weren't allowed to talk to any of them unless they spoke to us. We weren't allowed to touch anyone. Um, there was different dress codes for men versus women. Men were allowed to basically be in next to nothing. Meanwhile, women had to be like very, very covered. Um, and so there were just all these weird rules. Then we start to find out that everyone who basically lives here what had addiction problems, or like it was mostly addiction problems. There was a few other things, but it was different kinds of addiction problems. Um, and yeah, and basically this guru essentially like saved all these people's lives. Like, rehab maybe not didn't work for them, but this guru saved their lives or whatever. So there was this huge emphasis that this woman saves lives. So we would read the Bhagavad Gita, we would do yoga all day, we would even do chanting. And there were moments where I was like, I feel like I'm in the movie Jesus Camp right now. Like, this is like, it just like there was just all this bizarre stuff. The guru would come down from like the hill, after we've been meditating, doing yoga and chanting all day long. So we were like really open, and would come down and basically tell us like why we were all horrible people and what was wrong with each and every one of us. There was no words of encouragement. There was no like lessons really. And some people sat there and like ate up everything that she was saying. But to me, it was all very, very negative. Um, you had to ask questions in a certain way. I just the way that my brain works. I ask a lot of questions all the time. And she talked about something about like soul bathing, or like it was a weird term, but I swear it was called soul bathing or something. And so when she was done talking about things, she only just mentioned it. She didn't really say what it was. I raised my hand and I was like, "Oh, I'm just curious, like what is soul bathing?" And because that wasn't the general thing she was talking about, it was just something that she threw in there. Her response was something along the lines of like, I think you're a bit too immature for a response. And then just kept on talking. And a woman who like was sitting beside me, she's like, aren't you a little insulted? And I was like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. Um, so I was staying in a tent with two ladies from the UK, and all of us were like, is this a cult? It took us a couple days, but we had to be so whisper and even secretive about even talking about it, because some people were like, I hate to use this term, but like we're drinking the Kool-Aid. And like if you said anything slightly negative, it was like, how dare you? And like you'd almost get like verbally attacked for it.
They had full buy-in, no questions asked. Hey.
Yeah. And like, how dare you be disrespectful to a guru and blah blah. And I'm just like, she's not my guru. She's just not.
Yeah.
And so um oh, and the other weird thing is we weren't allowed to prepare any of our own food. They prepared the
Mm,
food for us. So that always was a bit weird to me, because I'm like, I don't know what's going into this food. Like everyone's eating it. There's no other options. I guess I'm gonna eat it. But yeah, so me and the two girls that I was sharing a tent with, like we're starting to get like really freaked out, to the point where we actually like talked about an escape plan. Because I was like, we don't know what they're doing to our cars. Um, and they kind of forced you to stay there because everyone was forced to carpool. So you
mm,
couldn't just leave. If I had a car, but if I got up and left, I would have trapped four people there essentially, or like yeah,
right.
three other people. So I felt responsible to stay to the end of the 10 days. Um, but I was like, yeah, they could be putting like sugar in my gas tank, and like I don't know. And if you walk to the end of the property, there was these two dogs that would come off of the other property, and I had no clue if they owned that property or not. but you literally like couldn't even really walk to the end because these two dogs knew not to cross the line, but you could not cross the line because otherwise the dogs would attack you. Like these dogs were wild. Like they were like drooling and like really aggressive. Um, there was like this weird electric fence. And so at one point, like when I was talking to like the girls about our escape route, I was like, okay, like there is a river like a creek. And I was like, I don't know if these dogs have anything to do with this property or not, but I guess that we're gonna like go on go walk on the creek. We would have to do it at night, and we would have to find some way to get past the electric fence. And the nearest gas station is a 20 to 30-minute drive away. There's no cell reception where we are. We're literally out in the middle of nowhere. Other than this next door property, I didn't see any properties coming here. So it was just this weird scenario. And like, but yeah, I've never been in a scenario so much where again you had to be so open all day long. You couldn't talk badly. If you didn't want to participate in one thing, you were kind of like, well, then you can't get certified as a yoga teacher. And so there was always these like weird little threats on things.
Mhm.
Chanting's not really my thing. And the way that it was explained, and it was all like all of the chants were Hare Krishna chants. And I there was no talking about why we were doing Hare Krishna chants.
Mhm.
So it was just a lot of you got to just do it and not ask questions, and we're not going to tell you why. And so, yeah. So anyway, so that was my weird little cult experience. We eventually like we were all allowed to leave after the 10 days.
That was
Some
my big question. At the end of the 10
they,
days, are the gates just open and everybody can leave, or what happened?
we were allowed to leave. I've never driven out of a place so fast. I scared. There was a lady who was from Quebec. I scared the shit out of her with my driving, but hey ho, I just need to get out of there. But basically, like it, like it was just on every level, like and we had to do work on the garlic farm as well. Like everything that we did, it was like, oh, we weren't working hard enough on the farm that we were paying to be on. And so therefore all of a sudden every time when we had to work on the farm, it had to be in silence. And also, but part of that had to do with the fact that when we were working on the farm, the few people who really didn't like what was going on were starting to talk, right? And so
Yeah.
let's cut out the talking then, because I don't want you guys to talk about stuff. During the day, we're doing yoga, we're chanting, we're meditating, so we don't really have an opportunity to talk other than when we're farming, right? And so it was a yeah, it was a very, very weird, stressful time. And when I left there, I felt so gross and so kind of violated.
Yeah.
And I got home. I don't like eating meat. Um, the fact that we were eating vegan the whole time we were there was lovely. Like I was like, yes, like this is my kind of food. But when I got back, my mom was like, oh, like what can we have for dinner? Blah, blah, blah. Like I'll make something nice. And I was like, honestly, like steak, fries, and I just need to be in water. And her apartment building had a swimming pool. So basically, like I ate a steak and some fries, and like went and soaked in, like just floated in the pool for like hours. And just like like to me, it was like such a cleansing just to be there. I
Mm.
just need to wash off this place. And I kind of told my mom what happened a little bit or whatever and got a bit of it out there. But like at that point, anger was coming. I was finally able to be angry about it.
Yeah.
And like even on the drive, like me and this one girl who I was sharing a tent with, me and her like opened the windows and we're like, "Run!" and just had to get some of that out because we were
Move it out of
so
your body. Yeah.
yeah, I've never been in such a controlling situation before where everything we did was dictated, everything that we did was watched.
Yeah.
We weren't really allowed to explore. We weren't allowed, like, it was just everything. There were so many rules. And this woman, so during the pandemic, I was like, I need to Google where this farm was. Like, and is it still doing its thing? Like, what is going on here? I Googled it, ended up being
Yeah.
able to find it. this woman's a prominent speaker in Vancouver and
Interesting.
like comes to Vancouver quite a bit and does lectures and things like that. And, you know, I'm sure she's helped a lot of people, but she has a very guru and culty way of doing it. And
Very, yeah.
there was someone who was at a retreat there the week before us, moved in 2 days after our retreat
Mhm.
started. There was another woman. There was a woman and a guy. They were not related, but they were on a retreat. Moved into the ashram garlic farm cult, whatever it was, after we
Yeah.
left as well. And so it's just and there is a specific person that moves there.
Right.
There was very similar things in their stories, even similar timelines of stuff. And then through this, we found out that one of our yoga teachers, her daughter was with us, and she was a teenager and just like had one of those moments where like she was just hating her mom, like as all teenagers
Of
do.
course. Yes.
And me and my friend were both kind of like the young ones in the group. And so she kind of latched on to us. She told us so much about her mom and all of this. And she as well thought that the guru was full of shit and like a terrible person. And she's like, this place is weird and it's super culty. And her mom, who again was one of our yoga teachers, or like, and one of our yoga teacher training teachers, um, had a ton of different addiction problems, came here, was saved by the guru, and this is why we now go,
Mhm.
right? And um the guru told her that for a whole year she wasn't allowed to speak or touch men for a whole year. So for a whole year she had to live in silence around men. If a man was in a room, she couldn't speak. So even if she was having a conversation with a woman, she couldn't speak if a man entered the room. And she did that for a whole year. And
Wow.
apparently that helped her. And this woman talked with this woman with such love and fondness. And I'm glad that, whatever they did together helped her.
Yeah.
But uh, there did seem to be this constant having to like repay the guru,
Mm.
and like this, again, like keep on bringing more people to the.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, it was
Interesting.
yeah. So I've always been very, very nervous. And this is why when I did the intuition training course, I was very nervous about doing it at first. But the part that I wasn't nervous about was because it was Divi. And I knew Divi as my doctor. I always trusted her. I knew her on a
Yeah.
very uh just on a different level. And also kind of like just before like my work culty experience, right?
Yeah.
And so didn't talk to her for like 10, well, not 10, well, yeah, probably about 10 years. And then like refound her on Facebook and was like, oh, okay, great. Like, let's sign up for this. Right.
Yeah.
But it was because I trusted her. And she also had this like medical science brain, and, and I knew her from other things. And so there was just this trust there. Also, the fact that because of the pandemic, it had to be on Zoom. So
Yeah.
I wasn't even in the same country. So there was a safety in that where I was like, I could leave at any time.
Yeah.
How is she going to find me?
That's
Like,
right.
right?
And like what we were saying in our conversation before, like our intuitive coach training, and as we're going through A Course in Miracles, at no point have I felt less than in the midst of doing that. I've only
Yes.
felt risen up. And I don't feel like risen up over somebody else
Yeah,
or under one particular somebody or entity,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah. And
It's
it's
that
not about
oneness
we need to
piece.
go and
Yeah.
save people now,
We don't
right?
need to save
Like,
people. There's no them and us.
yeah,
We are all on this journey.
there is no sin as well. Like that
Yeah.
to me, like, and this is kind of what we talked about a little bit in the pre-chat before we hit record, was like, as much as A Course in Miracles has a lot of Christianity in it,
Mhm.
um, it doesn't have the part about sins. It takes that away. It takes away any like, I was raised Catholic, so I can't that was just, or sorry, Roman Catholic. So that's kind of my branch of Christianity. And all of the martyrdom, all of the guilt, all of the
Hmm.
sinner,
Yeah.
um, all of that's taken out. Like this is uh and again, I don't need to save people. No one's worse, no one's bad. Everyone's on their own
Yeah.
journey. Like it is that this is where to me this doesn't feel culty. And there's no pedestal. There is no
There's
pedestal
no
here.
pedestal. And that's what we've talked about the pedestal before and how we put people up on a pedestal and it just provides them that opportunity to fall and for then us to blame them for things.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about, like people aren't necessarily, some people aren't looking and asking to be put up on a pedestal. It doesn't go well for the person on the pedestal,
Yeah.
right? It really, really doesn't. And so the Course in Miracles doesn't have a pedestal. We're not up on a pedestal. We're two newbies exploring this. We're just exploring this, right? It's completely new to us. We're not experts in any realm. We don't pretend to be. And it's that great exploration of spirituality without, like you said, without drinking the Kool-Aid. Like there doesn't have to be this set of rules that you follow. And if you don't follow, you are this terrible person and all of these things. It's a chance to explore yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your journey here.
Absolutely. And I don't need to fully understand everything I've read. I don't
No.
need to follow it all either. Like
Yeah.
there is this aspect of like you are where you are on your journey. You'll absorb whatever you absorb and whatever you don't absorb, you're
Yeah.
just ready for yet, and that's okay.
Yeah. And that's okay.
And I think like we were kind of talking about a little bit about how so again, like my weird obsession with cults now, um where lots of cults take a little bit from like spirituality and stuff like that, and I feel like the reincarnation, the universal energy, the stuff that like I feel like are quite true for a lot of people and
And
resonate.
very digestible, right? Like it,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like they take some of the beautiful bits and then add control and money and other things to
And
mix
money. Yeah.
it with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, with this, it's just, and what I love about it's a book you can buy. You don't have to do it with anyone else. You can do it yourself. No one even needs to know that you're doing this. Not saying
Yeah.
to hide it from people or whatever, but like,
Yeah.
um, it is something that you can start and stop. There is no judgment with it. There's no.
Yeah.
Now I haven't. Okay, so this was something Jenny and I talked about at the end of last week, but I am making an effort to try to find a Course in Miracle meetup in London.
Mm-hmm.
I found ones outside of London. I'm trying to find one that's like a bit more in London. Um, and or even if there's like a Zoom one or whatever, but I would like to go see like a physical one and see what it's
Yeah.
like, but
Yeah.
and see if it is this feeling that I'm getting where it's basically everything we just said. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think, like to go back to like my cult experience for a bit, doing that ruined yoga for me for many years.
Right.
Ruined meditation for me as well. And it really wasn't until I and the sad bit about it was I was doing yoga and meditation to help. It was the thing that was helping with my at the time I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue, and that was helping with it a lot. And
Right.
this thing scared the shit out. Like the cult
Yeah.
was like, even though I was like, okay, I'm going to stay to the end. I'm going to stay to do the courses to the end so I could finish and get my yoga training certificate.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with yoga. I never did anything with that certificate. And so, and like I said, I stopped meditating, and it was nice to meet Divi to bring that back into my life. Um,
Right.
and uh, I feel like with, again, A Course in Miracles, the way that it's presented, even though it's using like quite triggering words like God, man, brother, like,
Fun.
you
Over
know,
and over.
yeah.
Yeah. Very male. Yeah.
And there's so many bits about it that like I still disagree with. Like, I'm just kind of like, you could have said it in a different way.
Yeah. The word insanity really drove us crazy.
Absolutely.
I didn't mean to make that sound the way that I did. And do you know what, Chantal? It brings it right back to lesson 213. All things are lessons God would have me learn.
Absolutely.
Right? So that experience, you learned so much from it.
Yeah.
And then for you to make the conscious choice to go back to what felt really good for you and
Yeah.
not allow the taint of it to continue.
Yeah.
Right? Like you did for however long that you did. And then you went, no, I'm going to go back to the stuff that felt really good and just, again, pivot with it. It doesn't need to be like this.
The other thing that this lesson showed me, and I've thanked the divine for this so many times, is because of my cult experience. Like from day one, I was like, something's not quite right here. Right.
Mm,
And I was like, I don't like this. I don't want to believe in what this woman's saying. Right. Like, don't tell me I'm such a horrible person. I
yeah.
don't believe that I am. And um I it I even though like, there's still a bit of fear around cult for me, there is this thing where it allowed me to recognize that I recognized really quick that this was a horrible situation and one that I didn't want to be a part of, and that like, I was able to recognize that it was a cult quite quickly as well. And so it's kind of given me that confidence a bit that, oh, like my intuition, my inner
Yeah.
feelings, alarm bells go off quite quickly in these situations. I'm okay to explore now because
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
know when something's not right.
Yeah. Right. It set you up really well for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Which
took me
is
a while to
great.
learn about that, but yeah,
But that's okay. How often do you think it is that we get a lesson the first time around?
totally.
Right? I, I can't think of any.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, whether it's, even if it's like a cooking thing, you learn a new cooking technique. You're like, ooh, that's what I'm going to do with the butter from now on. It works so good when I do that with the butter. And then, 2 weeks later, oh, right, I forgot. And then the week after that, you remember it, like it with all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that story. It was very interesting.
Oh, no worries. I want to know what, like, in a weird way, like now, like one of the girls I was in a tent with,
Mm-hmm.
um, who was born and raised in London, she was like, I feel like this is such an American experience to have, is to be in a cult. Like she made so many jokes about it. And it's so funny. And I was like, yeah, I now have this wild experience that I just thought I would never have had.
Yeah.
So, okay, I now know what this feels like. It doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good. I've had the experience. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't need more than 10 days.
I don't need more than 10 days and I'm not buying the t-shirt.
Yeah. Or the garlic.
or the or the garlic. Oh gosh. Well, does that sort of sum it up for us this week?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you all so much for listening. Again, to Newbies, Exploring A Course in Miracles. We'll be back again in a bit with more lessons under our belt. We're going to be having a few weeks without meeting just because I'm going to be away. So we'll come back with all kinds of good stuff, I'm sure.
We peeked ahead and there's a new introduction coming up. So every time
Yeah.
that happens, there's a nice shift in the book. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
like because we're on like a train where that we're enjoying it. I hope that the
Yeah.
train continues.
Yeah, that we're not like, oh, we got dropped off at this station and I liked the other I liked the train better than the station.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
Awesome, Chantal. Thank you so much. Here we are, Chantal and Jenny signing off. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.